Yeah, long matches today. No 2-0s and then just taking the rest of the games. No, we're going down to the line, which is great. You gotta love good games, guys. And we're seeing games that aren't necessarily familiar to us because these teams are foreign to North
Foreign to
America. So
us. Yeah, foreign to
foreign to
us.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
if you wanted me to sit down and watch like Team Incredible Miracle play, well, yeah, they're a foreign team, but they're not foreign to me because I spend a lot of time watching them. And
exactly.
clearly, I need to spend a lot more time watching Team Property and Team Optic play because, I mean, as much as like I might not know their players, they definitely have a very high caliber of practice and and a really good team environment that allows them to foster these kinds of players. So overall, I'm very impressed with the level of play that we've been seeing from all these players. Bobson just being like the latest in a series of players that have just gone on a tear, and it does look like I wasn't expecting this. I think our ace player from Team Optic is actually going to be a Terran by the looks of things.
Yeah, Optic MF,
MindFeast.
MindFeast. So we got Optic MindFeast against Property Bobson.
Wouldn't you
Two
know it?
names, two
Wouldn't you
names like
know it?
heavyweight.
Wouldn't you know it, Ajax? MindFeast is the only Terran on Team Optic's active roster, and he's their ace player. So that's kind of interesting. They've got 4 Zergs, 3 Protoss, and a Terran. And their Terran is actually coming out last as their ace. It might be that he doesn't normally play ace, and like he just has to because they're too afraid to send out a Zerg or a Protoss, knowing how good Bobson's Zerg versus Protoss or Terran versus Protoss and Terran versus Zerg is. But it could also be that MindFeast is really just their ace player. So this could be really, really interesting. But we are going to have a TVT, and it's going to be on Antigua Shipyard, and I really like that decision. They have Antigua Shipyard now to use, and they're using it on a TVT. So even if, well, actually, MindFeast can't afford to lose this, but their alternative options were to send out a Zerg or a Protoss on Antigua Shipyard, but instead they're sending out a Terran, so they're making the most out of what they have. So we're going to have a Terran versus Terran. It is going to be on Antigua Shipyard, and this is going to be game number 6.
But you can't help to assume that MindFeast was like, put me out there, guys. I got this.
I
So,
can, I can kill this nerd.
So MindFeast is coming in with that confidence, and he's also spawning in the bottom right position on Antigua Shipyard. It is Optic MindFeast.
And spawning up here in the top position, really giving his team a lot of momentum in this best of 7. Already killing 2 Optic players. Can he kill his third? He is Team Property's Bobson.
And very solid play from Bobson. We had solid Terran play all throughout the day, actually. We had that really good mech versus bio that turned into biomech that went sky turn. That was a 42-minute long game. That was amazing. If you guys didn't check, go check out the replays. That was amazing.
I mean,
that was some of the best.
The one issue about the VODs for the ISTL is that like you're gonna have to sort through that whole first 4-hour log segment or whatever, looking for that very first TBT that was played today. But it was a very, very good TBT, a real good demonstration of like solid bio versus solid mech play. Will we see a TBT that lives up to that caliber, or will we see something a little bit more unorthodox from these two players?
I don't know. Bobson's just been playing a solid standard game, so I wouldn't assume anything less from him. And, MindFeast, again, wouldn't assume anything less from him. Both great players on great teams. We're going to see a great match.
All right, well, we already do have a deviation coming up here, Ajax. We have a gas now being thrown down at 13 for MindFeast. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be going for anything cheesy. This could be for earlier Hellions. It could also be for an earlier Stim timing. It could also just be for Banshees. And honestly, that's what I think it's going to be. This is going to be a 1-rack CC versus a Banshee expand. And that's a really common dynamic that has been played out a lot in Terran versus Terran. A lot of Terrans are just used to dealing with it. And it really just comes down to how good is your Banshee control? How active can you stay with it without losing too much back at your main base? Or is this actually going to be a Reaper expand from...
I don't know, man. Right? This looks like a Reaper.
If this is a Reaper expand, this is my build in Terran versus Terran. This is what I use all the time. I love Reaper expands in Terran versus Terran. I'm gonna tell you why. It's an in-between build. It allows you the map control that a Banshee opening gives you, but it doesn't require you to invest as much. So from this Reaper expand, you can go into heavy bio, you can go into heavy mech. This Reaper just gives you that early map control that your opponent can't take away from you without a Hellion or a Banshee. And if he's going for a command center like this, you have the opportunity to actually do some damage to him as well. So I love this Reaper expand build from MindFeast, and he's continuing to harvest gas behind this, which is indicative of a little bit, well, or it could just be for a second Reaper. No, he's still harvesting gas. So this is going to be for something a little bit creative coming out of our Optic player.
Well, he is putting down a second Rax. I'm wondering. I think that's just defensive purposes. He wants to make sure that he has enough units.
It is an Ajax. Look at this. He has this barracks before it's even done, rallied to his Reaper. This could just be a very, very heavy Reaper opening coming out here from MindFeast.
And it looks like he is going to get another tech lab. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And he's gonna pull these Reapers. He knows that his opponent's eventually going to stop Marine production to build a tech lab. And once he does, once you have like 3-4 Reapers out, that's too much damage. Marines can't handle that. You have to pull FTDs.
A Reaper can actually kill 2 Marines one-on-one. One after the other. Reapers are very, very good against Marines. And I don't need to even describe how disgustingly good Reapers are against SCVs. So unless Bobson gets wind of this, unless Bobson is cheating and listening to the stream right now, this is going to do a lot of damage to him. He doesn't have, you need Marauders to deal with Reapers like this, and you need bunkers in your mineral line. And he doesn't have either. It's really just Marines. He's only got 4 Marines that are going to be out on the field, and this could be pretty devastating, but those Marines are positioned in a really good spot. Here come the Reapers, though. The Reapers are going to take down those Marines pretty quickly. So now we've got 2 Reapers now on the field for MindFeast versus the 3 Marines of Bobson, but MindFeast is actually just going to back up. He's going to go back down to the watchtower. He understands that he already kind of revealed his Reapers, and his opponent is still just making a lot of Marines.
Worker count, however, is completely even. Even though he went for this Reaper expand, and he's doing that little aggressive play, completely even economy. He did get up in orbital faster, but now...
Look at...
all the Reapers are getting caught, and
it was a little bit of a misstep by MindFeast. I thought he was going to hide behind the smoke and actually abuse the line of sight to actually kill off a lot of those Marines, but it didn't actually work out that way. So, unfortunately for MindFeast, these Reapers are not working out quite the way that he had anticipated. But you alluded to something. Even though he's going for these Reapers, his SCV production is still even with Bobson's, and that's the real benefit to these Reapers. They only cost 50 gas apiece, and they still only cost 50 minerals. So unlike Hellions and unlike Banshees, you don't have to sacrifice a good number of your SCV production in order to make them. We have this one Reaper actually making it into the main base. This Reaper is going to kill at least 1 SCV, but is he going to get a scout on that engineering bay or anything else? It doesn't really look like it. No, the Reaper is taken down before he can really scout too much of what Bobson actually has going for him. Although I'm looking at the vision right now, and MindFeast actually sees everything that's in Bobson's main base, except for that factory, I think.
Yeah, except for that factory. And while that 1 Reaper was up in the main base, there were 2 at the natural, and that killed quite a bit as well. So just getting a little taste of MindFeast's multitasking. You see he's macroing very well. Yeah, and he got 8 kills there. 8 kills with those Reapers. So not as much damage as he wanted, but he definitely got in enough damage to where he feels confident. And it definitely gave him the SCV lead. He's now up by 4 SCVs. So now MindFeast is in control.
The one big problem with what MindFeast has been going for is that he did spend a lot of gas on those Reapers. Although I'm looking at it, in the overall resources loss, he's still actually he's only behind by 25. But that is going to delay his tech just slightly. But, he's not as far behind as I thought he might be, losing all those Reapers and not doing all that much damage. He still has the same amount of Marine production as his opponent, and he is only slightly behind in his starport timing. Although there is going to be a window of opportunity for Bobson, who already has a reactor on that starport, to actually go for a lot of really heavy medevac play.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. His combat shield is going to finish up way before MindFeast, and not to mention those 2 medevacs. He's going to have +1 combat shields, stim, and 2 medevacs against an opponent who just doesn't have the same upgrade. However, he might have siege ready. He's putting down missile turrets to prevent drops in certain places. But right now is Bobson's opportunity to attack. This is Bobson's moment right now, and he could capitalize or he can just let it pass. And I don't feel like Bobson's going to attack. I feel like he's going to be passive. He's content.
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be aggressive right now, Ajax. He isn't making anything other than Marines and Medevacs. You don't sit with Marines and Medevacs in your main base in TBT. That makes absolutely no sense. You want to at least be out on the map, taking control of watchtowers, checking for expansions, denying thirds. Bobson will eventually move out. I think he's just waiting for a couple more Medevacs. Now, is he going to commit to a very, very heavy attack? I don't even think he has siege mode. He doesn't have siege mode, so he can't commit to a very heavy contained type attack. But what he can do is utilize the mobility of these Marines and Medevacs to do economic damage to his opponent.
But there's the timing that he just missed. Now MindFeast is ahead. He's got +1/+1. His Medevac account is not the same, but he also has siege. So right now MindFeast is ahead, and he can also take a third if he wanted to. He kept those 2 Reapers alive still, so those 2 Reapers are going to be able to hold any positioning that he wants to take as far as map vision goes. And the one thing that I don't really agree with is that he showed him his entire army. I feel like he could have done that a little bit better. But as far as things go, yeah, completely even. Bobson now making his 3rd command center as well.
MindFeast is going to be able to hit with this army but right before siege mode actually finishes, and in that moment he could get himself into a pretty good advantage, pretty good positional advantage with his siege tanks, but the siege tank numbers are only at 2. So I mean, either way, the siege tanks aren't going to be the determining factor of this particular engagement when it decides to actually happen. Siege mode is now done for Bobson. Bobson does sieges, takes up slightly before his opponent. The superior medevac count for Bobson is actually allowing him to come away with a little bit of an advantage in the Marine count, but somehow Bobson's positioning was just superior. He had a superior firing position, and he is going to actually roll over Bobson's Marine count. The reinforcements from Bobson will actually be enough to, I think, force the Marines out, but those siege tanks down on the low ground are still going to be a problem. And behind this, MindFeast is taking his 3rd base.
Yeah, beautiful positioning, and that's the one armor. That one upgrade came into a factor. And that split second where the tank sieged up first and got that first volley. Huge. Game of seconds, guys. And now also getting his +2 attack. MindFeast is feeling confident. He's getting his 3rd. He's up 50 supply right now. A huge amount right now. And Bobson's beginning to feel the strain. He's actually stopped making SEVs. Yeah, Bobson's feeling it right now.
Bobson's bank is just so low, and he only has the 1 siege tank. His opponent's siege tank count is up to 3. He has a lot of Marines now in his natural expansion. Bobson's actually stopped upgrades too, so these upgrades are actually going to continue to get better for MindFeast, and MindFeast is just looking like he's going to take commanding position down here at the natural expansion of his opponent. The supply is now 114.
Oh, we got a Manor Mule.
And we have a Manor Mule now being dropped as well. MindFeast knows how good his position is right now. He's telling Bobson to leave the game, but will Bobson actually do it? We saw some scrappy play from Optik Scary earlier, where we see that returned to Team Property to Team Optik from Team Property. The reinforcements that are now on the way for MindFeast will be enough for him to actually seal the deal on this victory. The natural expansion has been removed from Bobson's natural expansion, and MindFeast is just in a commanding position. This is so hard to break as a Terran player.
And, you know, it's going through Bobson's mind right now that every second he waits, MindFeast is getting stronger. He's just got more supply. He's got more things building. He just knows. You know, Bobson's thinking, what can I do right now? What can I do to get back into this game? He doesn't have any money. He doesn't have anything that he could do. And even right now, MindFeast is blocking the 3rd or the additional landing position of the command center. So, you know, MindFeast knows it. He knows he's got him by by the cojones here, you know?
Yeah, he's definitely got him by the throat. He's strangling him slowly. Bobson really needs to figure out something if he wants to break this stranglehold, but he actually just lifted 16 Marines up into that medevac, and those Marines actually would be pretty important over here in this engagement. And now we have Marines of MindFeast actually breaching the defenses of Bobson, and now Bobson is definitely going to lose his entire main base. He has no more troops that can actually hold up to this. There are some Marines in the midfield for Bobson. He is splitting those Marines, actually trying to avoid as much tank damage as he can. He's going to try and go for a counterattack, but when he runs into this Marine force of MindFeast, I think that will actually repel him enough to actually force him to GG. So the Marines of Bobson are finally being taken down. 17 supply, 15 supply to 154. GG. Bobson finally goes down after killing 2 of Optik's members. Optik MindFeast finally getting the revenge his team really desired out of him. And we have another tie 3-3 series. We are going to another game 7, Ajax.
Yes, we are. Good games today. Yeah, MindFeast just showing how he's able to do it. How he's able to develop a build that not only allows him to get map control, but also doesn't hurt him economically. He was a little bit behind on upgrades initially, but then again, you saw it. If he waited just a minute longer, he caught up. And that's the benefits of doing a Reaper.
I'm a big proponent of Reaper expanding, guys. I don't see, and especially when Heart of the Swarm comes out and Reapers get their combat drugs upgrade, I don't think there's going to be any reason for you to not Reaper expand, because I mean, you get the map control, you get that potential economic damage that you get to your opponent, and you don't really lose very much back home. Other than the money you spend on the refinery and the minerals that you're losing by harvesting gas, you aren't spending all that much money on the Reapers themselves. It's only 50 gas and 50 minerals each time, which is basically just an SCV that you're losing, and it's a much better investment economic wise than say a Banshee or a Hellion, because on those you're really using a lot of money on each of those units. It really kind of puts a lot of pressure on you to really get a lot of damage done with those units. So with Reapers, you don't really care because they're so cheap. You can just throw them away. If they get a couple SCV kills, great. If they get some scouting information, great. If they kill some Marines, great. I mean, they're pretty expendable units, and you can go for them really, really early on. And I like them a lot. And MindFeast just kind of proved why they could be a viable going into a late game.